Season 4B of All the Queen's Men returned, and this is how it all played out. Madam is relieving some stress because she's going on trial on the following day, and all the scrutiny and everything that is going on just has her stressed out. Tommy walks in, asks her, Madam, are you good? She says, yeah, I'm good. I just got a little more stress that I need to relieve. And so, of course, Tommy walks out of the room and lets Madam do her thing. Then we see Trouble, who is talking to Detective Davis, Detective Davis is telling her, look, you're on your third strike and you need to testify against Madam. If you don't testify against Madam, you're going to go to jail for a very long time. Then we see Dime. Of course, Dime is we know Dime is pregnant. She don't know that she's pregnant, but Dime is very much pregnant. She's eating tacos, and she says they taste metallic. Well, Amp don't have a problem with the food. The food is good to him. So then we see where the fellas are at the club. Madam is at the club as well as Blue and Tommy. Well, minus Tommy, but Blue is there, and Madam is just saying, listen, I need you guys to get it together. When you go to this courthouse, don't act ignorant. And Attorney Levitt is telling them, don't use the N-word, like just kind of prepping the fellas for everything that's going to go down during the trial. And of course, Babyface is very familiar with the courtroom, so he doesn't feel like he really needs this lecture. However, he really does need this lecture. He's about to go to trial, and they're going to have to testify for or against Madam, just depending on how the questions go. So anyway, Amp and Fuego are at the gym, and Fuego is literally fuming and going in hard on this whole punching bag. Well, we know season 4A, Fuego found out what actually happened to his ex, so he's really upset about that. But Midnight is receiving a phone call from Renee, and she's just going back to back with these phone calls. But then he also receives a visit from Trouble about a threesome that she wants to be a part of. So we see Casanova, he's back, and he's discussing or talking to DA Ross as well as Detective Davis that he's ready for tomorrow's trial, ready to put Madam behind bars. We see the threesome actually go down with Trouble as well as Midnight. They make a bet who can make old girl come first. And then, of course, Midnight wins the bet. Trouble owes him $1,000. We see Gene Marks as well as Madam having their back and forth banter where she's rude to him, he's rude to her. But in all, he's clowning her about going to court. We see the process server, and she walks up on Tommy, and he's eating his ice cream. And then out of the blue, she's, are you Thomas such and such and such? She's giving his whole name. How do you know? He's like, wait, how do you know my full name? And he literally smushes the ice cream in her face before she could literally serve him any papers. Listen, y'all, Tommy just refuses to get served. Tommy says he is not going to court to testify against nobody. So then, like I said, we see the threesome that's about to go down between Trouble as well as Midnight and this new chick. And Trouble is just in her zone. Midnight is doing his thing, but of course, Midnight ends up winning that whole $1,000 bet because, hey, he is Midnight. That's all I can say. Now, Trouble, like I said, she owes Midnight a whole $1,000. Now, at the auction, where the men are going to represent Madam, we are going to see the different fellas get auctioned. We see Big D, we see Doc, we see Quincy, we see Babyface, we see Amp, and of course, they're all standing up there, they're ready for the whole thing. They're ready. We see Midnight at the auction as well, and they're just ready. Doc was bid on for $20,000 by this beautiful young woman. So then we see Fuego. Fuego didn't go. Fuego is still in his feelings about what happened to his ex-girl, and he's just talking about how, he's sorry that his lifestyle got her caught up. Then we see the bid for Babyface. And Babyface was bid on for about $20,000 as well. But he's bid on by a woman who reminds us all, you guys, of Miss Patty. Like, she is super excited to be bidding on Babyface, and she wants her some face. And her name is Miss Juicy. So Miss Juicy Baby is going to get her some Babyface, okay? So then we see at the club, Gene Marks, or at Maddie B's, Gene Marks as well as Tony, just talking about thinking, hey, don't you think we should wait till after the trial? Nah, it's better if we do what we got to do now to take everything from Madam. So then we see Shamika. Shamika just got through talking to Blue, but then she sneaks down into that basement where she sees, and she's going to pull out her little light. She's going to see blood and all other stuff on that wall, and she's going to call that her killing basement, her unalivement basement. That's Madam's unalivement basement. That's where she takes all the bodies, and she remembers being hung upside down in that same basement. Well, then we see Midnight, and Midnight is hanging out with Miss Sylvia. Miss Sylvia looks like she could be somebody's great grandmama. That's all I'm saying. And so he's questioning, like, you know, how she's not really talking. She's just making little gestures. Well, of course, Tandy says, you know, basically treat her nice, Midnight. Do what you do and treat her nice. And so she takes literally, they walk over in broad daylight, y'all, in front of everybody. She literally takes her teeth out her mouth, put them in Midnight's hands, and goes to town, says she's making him dizzy, but she did her thing. Go, Miss Sylvia. Anyway, Shamika gets caught walking out of the basement, out of that room, and Madam is like, what were you doing down there? Like, what are you doing? And so, you know, she goes and questions Blues, and she says, well, you know, she was here over 30 minutes ago, but I don't know where she was supposed to have left. I didn't walk her out because I was, escorting the men to do what they do. And so we see Big D as well as Dime have a conversation, and Dime is just telling Big D, do not tell Amp about us. Do not tell him about what happened between us. He really doesn't need to know about that. It was really nothing. So Madam goes down into that basement, and she sees that Shamika has been down there, and Blue can tell that Shamika has sprayed some luminol down there to basically figure out whether or not there's blood. So then we see Madam, and she's looking at this video. I'm looking like, Madam, what are you looking at? On the opposite end of that video, y'all, Madam is so sadistic. This was why she needs to be locked up. But we see where Madam is literally watching Smoke do the thing that he's about to do to Casanova. And he introduces himself, and he's saying, man, Casanova's saying, man, I'm a police. Well, he knows who he is already. So then we see where this man right here, Babyface, is big jealous because his son is doing the do with Miss Tandy. He was told to stay away from Miss Tandy, but of course, Quincy is getting that get back literally for all of the wrongdoing, all of the arguments, all of the fights, everything. He's literally taking every dime, every piece of money from Babyface. So at court, we see where Cole Marshall is supposed to be called to the stand. Well, we find out that Casanova's name is supposed to be Cole Marshall. I thought it was Lester Tenenbaum. I guess I was wrong, but of course, he cannot come to the stand because he's laid in the basement somewhere with a rat stuffed in his mouth. And the rat, by the name, y'all, is called Ratatouille. Big Smoke did the thing on him. And of course, unfortunately, Casanova has been unalived by asphyxiation with a rat stuffed in his throat, y'all. And that was pretty much the end of this episode. Have you guys watched yet? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, okay? And thanks for taking a moment out of your time to check out my recap of All the Queen's Men.